Vice President of the Senate, Mr. Nigel De Freitas, Clerk of the House, Ms. Jackie Sampson Miguel, Acting Clerk of the Senate, Mr. Brian Caesar, Acting Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Legal Affairs, Mrs. Nataki Atiba Dilchan, Mr. Steve Sedansing of Steger Engineering, heads of departments, members of staff, our beloved members of the media, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful. As you all may or may not know, my name is Atiba Wilshire. I'm the Master of Ceremonies for this morning's proceedings. And it's my duty to welcome you all to this, the launch of a week of activities as we commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Parliament Channel. And I'm sure that all of you have been able to sit and enjoy the fruits of your labor being broadcast on television. Yeah? Very good. Allow me at this time to welcome or to introduce to the podium for a video presentation, a brief history of the Parliament Channel, the manager of the Corporate Communications Department, Mr. Jason Elcock.
It's not my time to speak to you quite just yet. I will begin simply by directing your attention to the screen where we will display for you a brief history of the Parliament Channel. It's 2 minutes long. I hope you enjoy it. Democracy Redefined, History of the Parliament Channel. The idea of a Parliament Channel was first broached in 1989 when a Joint Select Committee of Parliament was formed to report on the logistics involved in the live televising of parliamentary proceedings. The topic was again brought to the fore via a private motion in the Senate in November 2003 by independent Senator Professor Ramesh Jyosaran. It was this motion that started the proverbial ball rolling. Then, on August 18, 2006, the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago televised its first live broadcast of a sitting of the House of Representatives. The first Senate sitting to be televised live followed soon after on August 29, 2006. The Trinidad and Tobago Parliament is keenly aware that broadcasting parliamentary debates makes an enormous contribution to the strengthening of the democratic tradition, as providing unbiased coverage of its proceedings is central to the overall strategic direction of the Parliament. With the inclusion of video cameras and microphones in the Parliament chamber and committee rooms, citizens throughout the country can view elected and appointed legislators make decisions which directly affect their lives. Parliament has also taken further steps to ensure that the national community has access to all parliamentary proceedings by simultaneous broadcast on Parliament Radio 105.5 FM and a live stream on a YouTube channel, ParlView, which were initiated in 2007 and 2015 respectively. The Parliament Channel continues to strive for excellence. This television station, owned, operated and maintained by the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, celebrates 10 years of broadcasting on August 18, 2016. On August 18, 2006, the first sitting of the House of Representatives took place, and on August 29th, the first sitting of the Senate. And that's the reason why we are having this observance in this week. Now, those of you who may have been covering Parliament, who may have been here at that time, may remember that the actual launch took place on September 29th. I don't know if any of you remember that when that took place, there was an earthquake in the rotunda while the then Prime Minister was speaking, and his response was, "It's just an aftershock." And he continued while people were screaming. Right? I'll come back to Patrick Maya a little bit later on because there was something that I didn't realize until I looked at the dates today. But even then, we saw the Parliament Channel
as an educational tool. One that we could use to ensure that members of the public in Trinidad and Tobago would have a better knowledge of the work that takes place in the Parliament, and one that we could use to ensure that all different members of society would be able to learn more and be more au courant with what takes place in the Parliament. So in addition to the live sittings of the House and Senate, from inception, we thought it best to begin producing programs that would air on this 24-hour network that we had available to us. The first program that was completed was a parliamentary personality feature on Sir Larry Constantine. Since then, we've done probably over 100 parliamentary personalities from all benches, government, opposition, and independent. We featured, I think, all of our presiding officers, so much so that we featured Mrs. Razia Ahmed, and then she became president of the Senate afterwards, and according to our policy, we don't show personalities on active members, so we had to stop it. Similar for Harold McLeod. So we've had quite a few personalities done. One of the other first features was called Milestones to Parliamentary Democracy, which gave a history from as far back as the 1700s and 1800s with Picton and Abercrombie and things of that nature. That's still showing on the Parliament channel as well. We've even taken our activities regionally, and we have focused on regional parliaments on the way that they operate, again, as an educational tool to allow persons to know about what takes place in this institution called Parliament, not only here, but in the region. So we've visited Antigua, Dominica, Jamaica, Grenada, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, I said Dominica before, Guyana, and St. Lucia, and hopefully more to come. We've had features on Caribbean Insights where we've interviewed leaders from different parts of the Caribbean, including the current Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, and the former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Kenny Anthony. Among our recent programs is one called I Count, which focuses on the work involved in general elections and how persons can play an active part in ensuring that they choose the government that they wish. We've also done other features that feature not necessarily directly parliamentary related, but we've expanded it to more history. I don't know if any of you have seen the West Indies at War, which was a feature that spoke about members of Trinidad and Tobago who fought in World War I, and we've gone there as well. School outreach was a big part of the Parliament channel's lineup. Our presiding officers would go out to schools and speak to young people, answer questions from them on anything that they wanted basically to know about Parliament. Sometimes they asked questions that had nothing to do with Parliament. We tried our best to answer them as well as we could. And we even invited some of those students that we would have visited to take part in a sort of reality television series called Parliament Apprentice, where we would bring them in, give them tasks to do, and film them doing it. Now, going forward, we expect to give the media many challenges. I'll just let you in on one of them. What has been happening since we had the advent of many parliamentary committees is that sometimes we have 2 or 3 committees sitting at the same time. But of course, we have one Parliament channel, so there's no way of getting both of them live to you. And we've been recording one and playing back later. But we're setting up more equipment in different rooms of the Parliament so that it will be feasible to have one committee broadcasting live on the Parliament channel and another committee broadcasting live on the internet, which would give you, members of the media, the choice of which one you're going to cover, or if you're going to cover both, or how you're going to do it. But that's part of what we intend to offer to enable you to do your jobs more effectively. We have 2 YouTube channels. You would have mentioned ParlView a moment ago. That is the one where we play our live sittings and our live events. And we also have the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago YouTube channel, where we place our pre-recorded programs. So you can check both of them. Social media has also occupied a prime place over the course of the last few years. We currently number 14,000 followers on Facebook, or 14,000 likes. and 11,000 on Twitter, which are modest numbers, but for a Caribbean parliament of this size is nothing to take for granted. We are also, and that's the Parliament Channel, a full-fledged member of the CBU, Caribbean Broadcasting Union, since January 2015. We're the only parliament in the region so far to be part of that broadcasting body. Our programs are seen across the region on Carib Vision, and we have 5 productions entered in this year's Caribbean Broadcasting Awards set for October in Cuba. So looking ahead, we expect to expand our internal production capability to be able to do more programs, all to make the Parliament more understandable and more accessible to the public. Very often, procedures of Parliament can be very complicated to the uninitiated, and we intend to break it down in a way that people will understand more. I promise to be mercifully brief this morning, and so I want to thank all of the staff and the technical persons who would have assisted us in getting the Parliament Channel up and running initially, including Mr. Siddhan Singh, who is here, who refused to sit in front. And I also wish to thank the leadership of the Parliament, the Clerk of the House, the Clerk of the Senate at the time, and all of those members of the broadcast team that would have made this Parliament Channel possible. So thank you very much. So now I'd like to move on to speak more directly to what we will be doing to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Parliament Channel. This launch, of course, is for Parliament Channel's week of activities, which will take place between August 15th and August 19th, 2016, and that is from Monday to Friday of next week. Firstly, we'll have our open week. An open week will be on Monday the 15th, Tuesday the 16th, and Friday the 19th of August, 2016. Now, what does this entail? We'll have hourly guided tours of the Parliament Chamber between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And members of the public are free to come and visit. We simply ask that call the Corporate Communications Department at the numbers listed there to book one of the time slots. But we're not going to be so rigid as we're not going to turn anyone back if they come. Walk-in visitors will also be accepted. Now, on the Wednesday and Thursday of this week, which is the 17th and the 18th, we'll have what we call a Parliament Expo. And that will take place on the waterfront between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. I said that I would come back to Patrick Manning earlier, and it just occurred to me that the 17th of August would have in fact been Mr. Manning's 70th birthday, which means that 10 years ago the Parliament Channel launched one day after his 60th birthday. That didn't occur to me until recently. Now, on the waterfront, you can ask questions of our staff. You may even be interviewed for the Parliament Channel. We're always looking for public opinions on what happens, on what they think about Parliament, and people are very honest when you ask them. We intend to do some live streaming from the waterfront via our various social media. And as we usually do when we have outreaches of this sort, if you answer a question correctly, because our staff will be there to assist and answer questions, you may be given some kind of reward or prize. And of course, all members of the public are welcome. Also, we will be debuting new programming during the month of August, including a history of the Parliament Channel. You would have seen a short version of it. We're working on a longer version. We're going to do a Where Are They Now, featuring all of the persons who would have been members of Parliament in 2006, speaking a little bit about them and seeing where they are now 10 years later. And we're also going to be recording video messages from key parliamentary officials, including our presiding officers. And I failed to indicate that regrets from our Speaker of the House and President of the Senate. Madam Speaker, I think, is returning this evening, and Madam President is acting President, so they weren't able to be here today. All right. In terms of social media, we've already begun in the month of August doing infographics on various events that would have taken place on the Parliament Channel. If you check our Twitter or Facebook feeds, you will see information such as which was our longest broadcast, how many broadcasts we've had over the past 10 years divided by session. We did a nice graph. And we've also sought out and found newspaper articles, mostly from The Guardian, because the Express makes you have to pay to see their stuff now. Sorry, Joe. On various articles that would have been published around the time the Parliament channel launched in 2006. Now, for all of this, we're going to be using the hashtag, and I hope you all join us in using it, TTPAL10, which is to signify the 10th anniversary of the Parliament channel. So, to conclude, this is just some of what we have in store for the upcoming week. I trust that you, our partners and members in the media, will allow these words to go far and wide so that we can encourage many members of the public to come and take a look at their parliament, sit in the seats of their members of parliament, ask questions of our very friendly and courteous staff, learn about this institution that is so central to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. So all I ask is that you please stay tuned to the Parliament channel, and there's much, much more to come. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Elcock. Now, I know that all of you all would have noticed that we have a very beautifully decorated cake to the back of the room. And we have reached the part of this morning's proceedings where we shall have the cutting of the cake. For the cutting of the cake, I would like to enlist the services of our Vice President of the Senate, Mr. Nigel De Freitas, and our Clerk of the House, Ms. Jackie Sampson Miguel.